Okay, I think we're having some problems with the audio, so let me check. It doesn't seem to be that bad, the audio, so I might I might as well not pay that much attention to this so far. Yeah, I don't think it is that bad at the very least, so yeah. But well, then, leaving that aside, give me. Yes, what the fuck? It is horrible, the audio. What the fuck? I don't know. I don't know. Anyways. Anyways, I cannot fix it, I think so. Ay, Lemao. This is beautiful. But well, aside from that, once again, we're all of us here to talk about things, to use the mind, and to, as always, ponder about different topics. This is another beautiful night where we go over different lists of things, where we use the mind, and where we a place where we also refresh ourselves for the sake of doing it. So, as always, welcome everyone, welcome dear lurkers, welcome dear bot watchers, welcome everyone who is there, who is not, who is only for a second, who will not be, who will anything. And with the more specific people for today, we have to say hello to the world. Hello to our dear myself, to Rosebone, and yeah, two streams in one day. I mean, I tried to get, I tried no, today specifically I didn't try, but my objective is to do 3 streams every single day. But at the same time, I have a kind of hard to adapt schedule, and even if I said that I have somehow the possibility of doing 3 streams over the day, they are not completely on specific hours, and I wouldn't go live for half an hour or so. More than anything else, because I think it is kind of hurtful to miss half an hour stream where I might as well not say anything really relevant. But yeah, at the very least we have 2 today, better than anything else at all, so we are fine, we're fine. We are very fine. So well, hello. Basically, welcome. Basically, existing, and similar stuff. So well, today, also, give me a second. Give me a second. There it is. Before anything else, we have our dear Apple. What? Did you? What? Why did I get 2 times in a row the first comment claim? What? What the fuck? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, bye equals before anything else. So yeah, before anything topic related or so, we are literally going to eat an apple. Or well, as always, I am going to eat the apple myself. You on the other side will at best hear me. If not, you can also get an apple, get ready, and at the same time as I start eating the apple, start along with me. And probably, I think almost anyone who isn't streaming will not take half an hour or even more to start eating or to eat a complete apple, but we will see. We have already, okay, 7 minutes have already passed for, wait, fuck. Give me a second, I knew that I was forgetting something. Topics, properties, give me a second. I need to leave the, no, I don't really need to leave the mouse. I just need to focus on what I am doing with my hands. I think that is easier said than done, more than anything else, because I do not want to delete the topics part, because I have to write it by hand, and that will really take me some seconds. But here, delete this. Now I only need to do this on every single column. Fuck. Well, I didn't really need to delete that. Anyways, anyways, delete. What? Why is it so weird? There it is amazing. There we have it. There we have the topics for tonight. So now we are better than ever before. Well, so yeah, now let me really start digging on this beautiful apple. While, well, I before anything else, I try to see what the fuck I'm going to talk about in this tiny meanwhile, because okay, I have it. I have been thinking, and it really is wonderful how everything is going. And I kind of have talked about it before, but in reality, I think a vital part of this whole ordeal lies also on the capacity of finding constant happiness from every single thing. Because at the end of the day, it lies only in our hands to find motives to keep going and to find reasons as to why we should keep striving to get better at anything and why what we are doing is useful to anybody. So yes. It is rather that we need to develop the capacity and the habit of constantly being in a not so simply mindset, but rather in a, I would almost say, frequency where we constantly spend our time observing the things that are great in our lives. And more than anything else, because as I was saying, it is not that it is a life requirement, but rather it makes the whole life itself easier. When you really see how many great things you have, you start worrying about, about those that you do not have. In a sense. Wait, fuck, I never noticed. Holy fuck, we never had the guitar, there it is. Amazing. Now we have the guitar. Now we are really streaming. It really was a kind of schizophrenic streaming today. Without even the guitar itself playing on the background. Now we are really streaming. So well, sorry. As I was saying, I guess it is important to find the ability to really observe the good things that happen to us. In a sense, kind of paraphrasing what I heard before, this isn't stupid illusions. This is rather the capacity to really see those things that almost in a void feel incredibly good and that give everybody so much. If you really were to stop and analyze how is your whole life, you will really say, wow, this is a great moment. And so far, one of the things that I have been fighting the most is the concept of, do we really have the tendency to think negatively? Because I wouldn't say we have the tendency to think negatively about anything. I would even go as far as to say we end up developing that habit with the passage of time, but in reality, always, as people say, kids are the best representation of a human in some senses, and kids are not negative. I mean, What was it? Okay, I think when you face the great tragedy of life, you think that it is okay or it is better for you to keep your hopes down and to never really expect anything great to come out of life itself. But in reality, in this particular manner, I would even add the possibility of having the illusions equals to those that a child has gives you so much more than what you could ever expect. You will really be surprised about it. At the end of the day, if you really were to notice and if you really were to see so much bright things in front of you happening all the time, you will really have, as I was saying, as a kid does, an easier time. Why? Because you can kind of reflect, aside from their incredible brain capacities, because they are so young, therefore they are so predispositioned to really absorb almost anything that they have an interest on. The simple fact that you as an adult also have the capacity of directing your mind toward the things that you really want to gives you a certain kind of edge towards the kids or against the kids, because while a kid might end up wandering with their whole mind over things that are not that interesting to them but might be useful to have anyways, you can say, or you can convince yourself also to do the things that you kind of know are not so useful. Sorry, sir. The things that you know are not so entertaining to practice, but you know are useful. That's what I wanted to say. Because at the end of the day, what really constitutes a child and what really separates that from an adult is the simple capacity, aside from the whole happiness and whatnot, the simple capacity of directing your own mind towards the things that you do not want to do. And almost in a sense, that is why also we tend to call very those people who are not capable of doing the things that they have to very childlike. So yeah, I guess in a sense, in this particular manner, that is why it will be useful to develop the tendency to act or to face the things with the happiness of a child and the attention span of an adult. So yeah, we're basically very great. And well, in that particular same wavelength, I also have been thinking, is it really that we stop being childs in some senses? Because personally, I think it has more to deal with the actual loosening of an ability rather than with the passage of time itself. At the end of the day, we are really advancing a lot more than what was ever expected with the whole neuroplasticity science and neuroscience. I think that really shows how people, even of 80 years old or more, can, if they really try, develop their interbrains, interconnections, and similar things that really end up being so useful to them, or so not so useful, so easily created to them as they are for someone who has, let's say, 20 years old, someone who is 20 years old. So yeah, I guess in that sense also, in this particular manner, taking the advantage of being able to say whatever I want, I will really have an interest in seeing, aside from the whole aspect that is, thank God, the already researched field of sleeping well, aside from that, the other side of the coin that is how much being happy ends up affecting neuroplasticity. I think I have read something about how being depressed suppresses in the brain the capacity to really learn, but I am not so sure about it. And I guess okay. At least I am happy with the possibility of going over that or something very similar in the future. Think that will probably very well, not very soon, when the new mic arrives, will happen. We are going to delve a little bit more, as I have said already like 20 times. Something that we will see in the future as not so far, but right now as really unpredictably ahead of us, the new series that will be us going over the whole lectures that is psychology from the MIT. And well, aside from that particular thing, I have been thinking today when I think, yeah, kind of a happy coincidence that happened when I left here after the stream of the evening was I literally got up from my chair. I took my phone while I was standing up. I opened YouTube, and one of the first videos that appeared was how does the mind of a genius work? And I think there is a misconception there, I will say, because what the video was talking about basically was the idea of, you know what, a genius really has a very fast going mind, and in reality I would say almost anyone can achieve something like that as long as you can drive your focus specifically into the things that, as we have been talking before, you know you want, you know you should learn, you know you have at the very least an interest on. Why? Because the mind tends to flow on a faster pace when you really have an intention behind what you are doing. If you, let's say like this, if you expect your mind to be going at the fastest speed that it can every single day, and you want to have that basically happening all the time so that you can become a genius, in that sense it is a kind of misconception, because in reality, if you are not focusing on the things that you have no interest on, no human mind should be, aside from those, not minds but rather brains who are sick, that cannot avoid going as fast as they can every single day of their lives, aside from those people, you cannot really shut up the mind. And it will keep going on other things, but you only need to direct your intentions and direct your thinking ways. But yeah, I mean, as always, we are doing with theoreticals here, so we do not completely know. something that I really wanted to talk about. Wait, why is the model not moving? What? The model has... No, okay. It sometimes moves, not every single time, somehow. I don't know. I am speaking. What is it? Not so loud. Is that the problem or something like that? Because I don't think I am. Or well, yeah, we have audio, so if that is not the problem, I don't know. I have literally no idea what is going on here. But anyways, as I was trying to say, sorry. Back on track. I think the whole possibility of directing the mind is more powerful than what we, at least for now, at least for now, know. So yes, I guess. Jumping to the next topic, I am very interested to see what is going to happen in the future. I mean, how much or how many of the things that I wouldn't say we specifically talk about here, because one of the main things I tend to do is, from different sources, I think the most interesting ideas, I boil them down to the easiest to convey parts, and I talk about them for extended periods of time. So I have an interest on seeing from how many of the interesting topics that we have talked already, and we are going also to talk in the future, there will end up being advancements on those fields. More than anything else, I think so far we really have a bright future, so to speak, in the sense of the whole neuroscience. I think at the end of the day, it is a very, very new, so to speak, science. Or, well, yeah, it is a science, so yeah, a whole new science in the sense of the earliest adaptations or very similar things that we had about it was in the Second World War era, and it wasn't created for the sake of being useful as we are going for it now. It was rather made to try and extract things from the minds. I will even say, now we are going for the approach of elevating individuals to the best brain capacities they could ever have. When before, all we really focused on was the idea of analyzing the brain to see how many exploits it has, not for the sake of an individual exploiting it itself, but rather for the sake of seeing who we can extract truths from another individual, who we can force somebody to tell us something in particular, who we can trigger a response, how we can do that kind of thing. Not so good intention things, so to speak. But well, I mean, even right now, or not right now, in general, I think I have an stance where I think it is very important to have people who really, even if the rules are there, do not be contradicted, are trying to push the boundaries of rules, and sometimes even going against the rules themselves, because not only those people really show us how cruel humanity is, something that really helps us to have in mind that we need to keep in check ourselves, but also because sometimes, not a common occurrence, sometimes it could happen that great advancements are made or because of those people, or because the efforts that are put against those peoples. So yes, in some senses we have very interesting things going on. So yes. The whole, yeah, I think in this particular case we can even apply the philosophy of everything has a good outcome, you only need to search for it hard enough. Because even here in Argentina, even if we had the whole military state and all of that, due to having that, we also had the upgraded versions of DNA technology and the whole movements that ended up being taken from here and adapted to other parts of the world, where we really started to have the tendencies to know how to act against not only state terrorism, so to speak, and coup d'etats, but also against simple disappearances. So yeah, I guess it is interesting. It in this manner, the only thing I will say is it is not an easy job to do, more than anything else, because you need to face harsh realities to find anything good about them, and sometimes you might need to watch them for hours and hours on end. Think that really might be heartbreaking for some people, but even in those situations you still have the possibility. You only need to try hard enough for that to become a reality. So yeah, I don't know. But well, aside from that, going a little bit into the apple eating action that I am engaging in right now, it had a very rotten piece, and I have been avoiding to eat specifically that part, but the whole rest of the apple itself is kind of nice, so I don't really know what to say about that. I wouldn't say I'm preoccupied about it, but at the same time I am not even happy about such, well, it isn't that much in reality. No, it isn't that much. I was going to say such a big piece of the apple being not used properly, but anyways. Also, my headphones have been falling for the past like 5 minutes. Fucking annoying thing. But anyways. I guess one of the things that we are going to talk in the future, and that I am still trying to think about, is the whole reality of things, or not things, the whole reality of how achieving our dreams ends up happening. That basically. That specific thing. Because it really seems you need to be so resilient in your efforts that you need to face, so to speak, at least 50 times failure before achieving success, so to speak. So I guess in a sense we are still, or not we, I am personally still trying to find it a good way to speak about it in one of the future topic list, but it is still interesting because, in a sense, it shows that we really have to have, or well, it isn't that we have. It will be useful to have those numbers in mind when you are trying to do anything, because if you were to know that you are going to fail for an X amount of times before really achieving success, it will be, at least on my perspective, more heart-soothing, so to speak, than simply saying, no, you know what, we are going to fail and fail and fail and fail and fail, and that ad infinitum before in some lucky random encounter you end up winning, and that isn't the reality, I think. But well, we're going to see. So far, I still have to process that myself, so yeah. And also something, for example, that popped in my mind is the reality of how much we can really say we achieve success, rather than to say we are going for success and it happens because we are going for it. In reality, if you really have such a clear vision, it might not be possible to achieve that specific thing. Because I wouldn't say an intrinsic part of having expectations is your expectations are going to be higher than what reality itself will end up giving you. So yeah, I guess we have to see that. I guess we have to analyze that from that point of view. But well, aside from these kind of things, we are. Yeah, I finished my apple, so I will take some minutes. As always, I will go throw the apple cart, clean my hands because apple juice nasty, and we will be back in some seconds. Give me. Okay. I hate that my mic doesn't work. Anyways, my mic, what? My mouse, my mic, frozen asleep. My mouse fucking does not work. But anyways, Aside from that, we are very fine. I even have so much water today. So wait, where are we? Where were we? I was. I think if I'm not wrong, I was going over the realities and all of that, so to speak. So yeah, basically we are really good. That is always the main message. We are greater than what we can really see. And yeah, I heard this and I wanted to expand on that idea because it was a very short thing that someone said, and I think it has more to offer than what it was already said. But it was, if you were to spend your time throughout your day finding the good things that you go through, so to speak, being very grateful about them, you will pick flowers and you will end up with a handful of them. And in reality, if you really dedicate your time enough, that is my point of view, if you really dedicate your time enough to see how many amazing, beautiful flowers you have in your day-to-day life, you will find yourself being surrounded by more beautiful and more unique flowers than what you ever expected. And by itself, in this case, we could really even try to say you always have the possibility of seeing things in a good light, and it isn't, as always, it isn't a bad thing to not be able to do it. It only requires such an intention hard enough from you for you to do it and to be someone who actively seeks those moments of happiness that almost, I wouldn't say nobody, but almost 90% of the people is not really capable of achieving those states of mind, more than anything else in this case in particular, because you really have to understand why would the brain default into happiness if you live your daily life in a constant state of fear or in a constant, so to speak, wavy situation where you are always feeling bad things happening to you or around you, or those who are existing also close to whoever you are. So yeah, I guess in those senses it is one of the hardest skills to develop and at the same time one of the most rewarding ones. And I will say it like this, it is almost, what the fuck, why is the audio so horrible? Okay, give me a second, I moved the mic just in case. As I was going to say, I think it is almost very important in this particular manner to really try to develop this. And I guess it gets boring to say it so many times, but if it makes your life easier, why not have it? Why would you choose to not have something so meaningful to you and something so soothing to your own mind? But anyways, aside from that, I couldn't really say anything else in this particular case. So, moving on a little bit more and going to our beautiful topic list, because do we have anything else to say? Do we have something that I haven't really thinking about? Well, yeah, I have something. So before moving to the topic list, sorry. Anyways, at the very least, you will have the timestamps whenever you see this. And if you don't have it, you might as well skip 10 minutes ahead and see. Now that I finally implemented the topic list itself being shown on screen, you can also guide yourself around that visual clue or visual cue, so that you can know when I change from one topic to another and all of that. But well, what I wanted to say was, I also have been analyzing a lot my sleeping patterns, because after what I said today earlier, I noticed that I was still very tired, and I had to take, or it isn't that I had to take, I think more than anything else, in a sense, it gets tiring to do this every single day. So I always find in myself the desire to, if I have the possibility, take a nap or at the very, very minimum least, take a mental break, so to speak. Because it really gets the cogs of my brain moving in such a way that I feel very inclined to not pay any attention to any other thing aside from this. So yeah, I guess I am trying to see how to interact properly with that. Yeah, in this case, more than anything else, I have been having this idea for some time already, and more than anything else, I need to implement it into a reality, and that is to start seeking for real ways to utilize my mind in useful manners, and not my mind, to utilize the rest times that I have in meaningful ways, because it is easier to say that I can properly sleep than what ends up happening. In reality, even if I say I have an easier time, I might have it easier from what I had before, but it could still be even better. So we are seeing whatever is going on in that sense. Right now, I'm not that sleep deprived, I think. I am not so sure. I think I am not that sleep deprived. But anyways, that's it for this particular idea that I have been having. Now more than anything else, I literally only talk about it because I wanted to not only have it on my mind floating, but kind of take it to reality itself and to let it be there so that I can also hold myself accountable for something that I said and I am not doing. So yeah, I guess that said, after this I will have to analyze sleeping patterns and how to properly get into sleep itself. But well, I mean, aside from that, something that also appeared in my mind right now, sorry, in a sense, these last days I had been, well, how much, not last days, like, probably at the very least, these last 10 days are having not a problem itself, but my mind is going so fast when I am awake that it tends to carry when I go to sleep. So I also have, as I have said before, I end up having realizations of things that I have been thinking about, be them actual things or be them also things that I thought, let's say, on previous days, okay? And I end up having realizations about them in a manner that ends up not being tiring by itself, but because I have to really put them into the place they go when I am awake, thing that happens almost instantly as I gain or as I regain my consciousness, so to speak, from being on the REM sleep phase. When I am awake, I have to spend, so to speak, like the first 5 minutes or so thinking about things. So that is why I also I also feel very tired in that sense. I mean, I love it because it really is helpful to have it, and I would prefer to have it every single day of my life than to not have it. I wouldn't sacrifice my actual pace of thinking and anything like that over something chillier, so to speak. But it is still tiring. I feel like sometimes I really end up taking like 8 or 9 or even 10 hours of sleep when I have the completely real possibility open in front of me. And in those moments is also when I feel that I am not only progressing the most, but at the same time holding myself back the most, because it really is tiring to realize that I lack so much sleep in general. But anyways, this isn't only about me. We have also topics that are important to talk about, and we also have tools to give to each other and to benefit everyone from this, aside from only me who is pondering about the potato reality that only the potato itself has. So, this time for real, let me make the timestamp and we shall start with the topics themselves. that it is now. While we move to the first topic, that is the world you perceive, and obviously its preface, we shall start to know. In this case, that we're going to talk, kind of as we already did before, with the whole experiences and how in general an individual sees their world around them. Because in this case, I will stop. At this point, I will not even try to worry about it. It is a common occurrence by now, and I cannot change it in any way. So we might as well go with it rather than to fight it. Every single topic, once again, is completely interconnected once again, but I cannot change it in any way. So yes, moving on to the topic itself. What is the idea? Topic: the world you perceive, and what you are speaking about in this case when we say that an individual perceives a world. We are more than anything else going on the possibilities and on the realities that are not only how we see the world, but also how it is interpreted for us in our minds. Because, in a sense, we have always the capacity of changing how we see the world, but we are not every single time being us who decide how we see it. It is a combination between the pre-existing concepts being utilized constantly in favor of an easier time thinking about them for us than it is, so to speak, a time we spend ourselves consciously thinking about the realities that we are facing, if we have to say it in some way. So yes, in this particular case, we are going about the idea and about possibilities that are the whole concept of how we interpret the world and how we analyze it. Because as I have been trying to say, more than anything else, it really is important to notice yes, in this case, the idea has the objective of giving you the tool of why it is important to know that you yourself can alter how you perceive reality. Because, in this case, we have already established a question as to why it is important. Now the response itself to the question is, if you know that you always have the possibility of changing how you see it, or at the very least how your unconscious mind works, you not only have now in your hands the reality that is of realizing yourself if you are engaging in activities that are actively harming your perception of the world in a way that ends up making you, so to speak, someone more close to reality, or if you, on the other hand, have always the possibility of trying to change the ways you are already interacting with the reality and the ways you are already using things for your own benefit for the sake of having, as always, an easier time. Because in this particular case, if you understand that, let's say, an opinion that is told to you might as well not be the most important thing that has been told to anybody, but rather a simple, convoluted union of words that means something in particular to the person who's hearing that opinion, and something that you can dissect from every single point of view, you might as well start seeing how it is, so to speak, a reality now for you open, the one of having a critical stance against those things that you already knew of, and trying to have an active, so to speak, development of your own brain for the sake of also realizing how much or not you are letting, in this case, unconscious decisions and unconscious concepts affect what you are, so to speak, accepting as a reality. Because almost nothing in reality carries so much emotional weight as we make them see or as we make them feel to us. In reality, we could even almost say it is amazing to notice the possibility itself of dissecting, converting, and transforming those things that we before took as harmful things into something that could be almost not not hurtful, but almost passionately beautiful, so to speak. Because in this case, a very good example is always critique, not only opinions, but critique itself. If you find somebody who is not only not giving you rational critique, but giving you one of the harshest things you have ever heard, let's say, for example, here, one of the main things that I did when I first started here was, for example, accept the reality that someone might come here and say to the potato, you know what you are trying to do is one of the worst things I have ever seen. Why would anybody have an intention to help other people? What is your ulterior motive here? And if you were to perceive that only from the point of view of this person is trying to hurt me, this person is trying to get me low, this person is trying to destroy my intentions, if you were to work with that idea from that point of view, you might not gain as much as you would end up doing if you were to accept that possibly whoever decided to approach you with such a harsh, so to speak, union of words might as well. We are not going to accept that every single one is like that, but might as well be kind of hurting already and be kind of already having a hard time. Therefore, they might not that they might not mean what they say, but they could have said what they meant to say in a more sophisticated way, in a more non-damaging way, and in a manner where you could have an easier dialogue with that person. But the conditions of their life, the conditions that they went through, the realities that they also see and that they also have already accepted and perceived as completely real, are also shaping their opinions about you. Because in this particular case, if you were to, so to speak, go and step ahead and also accept that that person not only is telling you things, but also might as well be telling you those things from the reality, so to speak, of someone who is trying to defend themselves against the possible damage that what you are trying to do could deal to them, you might also see that they are not doing it out of completely randomness, but rather they are doing those actions because they already had a past and they already went over a whole life where they were really hard before and where they really had to adapt and to stop inputting every single thing that was told to them as something useful. Rather, they had to have a completely judging view on every single idea, and they had to develop, so to speak, such a thick shield of defense against exterior concepts that they are, so to speak, so sadly close against the exterior world. You will really need time to help them. But that is, I will say, in almost measurable amounts, better than to simply have in your mind, you know what, this person is trying to hurt me. No, my man. If you have the capacity, in this case, for example, of turning your before, so to speak, perception of this particular individual being someone who is really trying to hurt me into a humanized version of those words, into something that you can really understand and something that you can really use almost as an, so to speak, as an incentive for you to take action sometimes, even because at the end of the day, if not only you notice that someone is hurting, but you also in some cases notice that you might have the possibility of helping them, you might as well seek them in what was your older perception an obstacle. Now you could even find motivation to keep going, and that is why in those cases it is important to notice that as long as you have a definition of the words that you are observing and a definition clear and good enough for yourself of what, so to speak, will be a better tool for your own sake and for an easier time in this plane, so to speak, you will start slowly but surely, in this case, having more and more reason as to why keep going, and as to why not only you yourself but give others encouragement. At the end of the day, for example, particular case mine, if I didn't accept that it is also interesting to other to work themselves with those, I would not even be here, if you kind of understand what I mean. Because I don't have any reason at all to be here aside from that. Therefore, if it wasn't for those collection of reasons, the world perception that I would end up having before, or that I would end up carrying myself around with, will not be so useful. And that is why, in those cases, it is completely valuable for the individual itself to constantly assert and to constantly, at the very least, analyze what you're letting yourself be the main narrative in your head. Because let's say like this, if you do not notice that the way you are seeing things is really not only hurting you yourself, but those who are around you and those who are trying sometimes even to help you, because you are having a bitter world perception, you might not even be capable of helping yourself or even helping others. Because at the end of the day, I would say like this, if you always have the capacity of not only helping you yourself but also helping others, why not even try it? What will be the worst outcome that could end up springing from helping others only with intentions? We're not, in this case, we're not talking from the concept of, you know what, you should spend your whole money, you should become poor trying to help others. We're not talking about that. We're only talking about efforts. We're only talking about perceptions. We're only talking about things that can be changed and that cost you no palpable things, so to speak. So yes, we are in these realms of reality. So well, I think this is a very good way to seg into the next section, because the second topic, and this is kind of the interconnection that we are going to do between them, might be a good way to analyze this whole concept, so to speak. Give me a second, because I need to do the timestamp. Fuck. Okay, there it is. I didn't notice that. Okay, there it is. Sorry. Now, the second topic that we are going to talk about is interesting by itself, because in this case, more than anything else, we are going about the possibilities that are not only your responsibilities, but also some ways which you will try to, so to speak, not abide to those responsibilities, and not really try to go for those responsibilities more than anything else. Because in this particular case, you could almost, so to speak, avoid them and not be someone who is actively hunting those. But here, the topic itself, as I presented, connected with these past ideas, when you understand also sometimes that you have the possibility of changing how you see things, you might also start seeing and start comprehending in a completely different way how you not only are seeing things and not only are, so to speak, mentally working and mentally analyzing those parts of your own self, but also you might see possibilities and really useful ones to direct your efforts into different things. And in this case, as the title says, escaping your responsibilities by having more responsibilities becomes an incredible opportunity. Because, kind of logical, I would even say, I won't completely name it logical at the end of the day. If you do not understand why you have responsibilities in your life, we should maybe even need to go some steps back into why having responsibilities is something that almost nobody should avoid. But by itself, very short definition, a responsibility is something that you sometimes decide to hold in your hands, sometimes is, so to speak, let down in your hands. If you are a child, that is the common thing. If you are an adult, the common thing is the former. Because at the end of the day, you can almost bail out of every single responsibility that presents to you. But well, the idea itself is why in this case it is important to have a responsibility, and why would it be even more important not only to have one, but so to speak to do a common change and exchange between those that you already have in your hands. Because in this case, when you not only see the different sides of your already existing responsibilities, you also start seeing how by handling more, so to speak, your already existing things to play with become even easier to carry. Let's say like that. Because one of the main things that tends to happen is if you have a responsibility and, so to speak, you're focusing your sole efforts in that particular thing, you tend to feel overwhelmed because more than anything else, you are only using your mind in that particular responsibility and you're only focusing on that particular problem. And even if it is completely easy to say, you only need to change your perspective, my bro, it isn't that easy. You also need sometimes to abstract yourself from those things to really be able to change how you are perceiving the problem, how you are going about the problem, and how you are even trying to comprehend the problem itself. So in this particular case, if you start having other responsibilities, and one of the main things is always telling those who are trying to go for this route, you could even have very easy responsibilities to solve. Let's say you could impose on yourself responsibilities that are so easy to accomplish you might not even spend hours of your day, but rather mere minutes, because the sake of this idea is you give yourself enough time to have, so to speak, a soft reset in your brain, and you also give yourself, as long as you were searching for it, the possibility of, as I said before, abstracting yourself from the sole reality that was your previous responsibility, also giving you the chance of really analyzing and trying to go around the problems, trying to comprehend them in a different way, and trying to adapt them, so to speak, in a completely new perspective. Because yes, as I said before, as long as you comprehend that you can change your perspectives, and in this case, that sometimes even your responsibilities themselves might be obfuscating your efforts, the simple fact that you're not letting go of them, but rather in those, so to speak, free times, taking care of other things where you let your brain yourself, so to speak, discombobulate out of the things that are already so heavy and so incredibly hard for you to process, you are slowly but always surely building the habit of having an easier time with the things that you have to deal with. And more than anything else, I think it is kind of obvious that as long as you have an easier time, you're gaining more than anyone else. Because this isn't a race, this isn't, so to speak, who gets farther, this is only you, yourself, and the rest. If you have an easy time with yourself, the rest will also have an easier interaction with yourself, and you will be able, so to speak, to carry around yourself in an easier manner. Because, as I said before, the whole idea of these concepts is not to, so to speak, give somebody an unbearable weight or an unbearable new responsibility. It is only a new tool for you to take. And, so to speak, something that I heard when I was reading about this and similar concepts was you might try to, aside from your already existing responsibilities, you might also try to go for those who, so to speak, seem so incredibly hard to achieve. And for example, one of the biggest responsibilities is having a dream, because a dream is not a dream that you can achieve by getting lucky. A dream is something that you need to constantly work, and if you only have your mind on your dream and you do not have other ways to fulfill your happiness and to find satisfaction and to really say, you know what, I feel great with what I am doing, the act that you're engaging so much in one single responsibility ends up driving you out of any desire to do anything else, ends up, so to speak, drawing you out of, obviously, as I said before, the fuel that moves you forward, and the fuel and the whole desire to keep, so to speak, evolving and always striving for that dream. But well, yeah, in this particular manner, I think it kind of falls in that sense that one of the best things to do is always not only to have a dream, but to also start catching other similar responsibilities with that dream, so to speak. For example, one of the easiest things is to do. You might as well catch the new responsibility of analyzing who are you really striving for your dream, how you can improve the actual ways you are already going for your dream, how is your dream something that you are so sure you can make into a reality, how you can really say, you know what, this dream is what really motivates me, or this dream at the end of the day wasn't really meant for me. So in those whole array of things, you really find or break, in this case, your responsibilities down into things you can really carry around, or things that you can, so to speak, not so usefully adapt in your real life. Because yes, I don't think I have anything else to say. As I said before, it only is a tool for you to have an easier time. It isn't a replement. It isn't, so to speak, simple noise. If you are able to see the message itself, you might as well start adapting it into your whole routine more than anything else. So yeah, that's it for this particular second topic, because now we shall as well try to move to the third one. Before that, I need to make the timestamp, so wait a second. Timestamp. Okay, I think I am kind of sleeping. What? You know, crank. Yeah, I think I am already kind of sleepy. This is incredible. This is why did I write 2 times in a row responsibilities here? Give me a second. Is my eye not working? What the fuck? Tsuki. What? What does that mean, my boy? Tsuki, yeah, Tsuki. But well, there it is now. This time for real. Second timestamp. Well, welcome. I hope you have a great stay. We're only on the third topic, so we still have, so to speak, a long way ahead of us. More than anything else, because I already have been like half an hour here, and we're only on the middle of the list. Water. So yeah, let me continue, just in case. Okay, second topic is the reason, the guts, the senses, and the feelings. Oh yeah, this has a preface of the topic itself. I don't think I have a way to segue into this particular one. So the topic or the preface is, I think almost everybody understands when they hear the reason, the guts, the senses, and the feelings that we are speaking, so to speak, about. What did I say? We're talking about, so to speak, about the concepts that are the reason, so to speak, the logical thinking that you have, the reasoning more than anything else, the guts, that kind of gutty feeling that you end up sensing in yourself, the senses themselves, things that, so to speak, end up being one of the main ways to perceive the world, and obviously the feelings, also something that might as well be a way for you to interpret reality, or might as well be, so to speak, a really useful manner in which you can extract things from reality. In this case, because, okay, yes, this is a good segue. This has to deal more than anything else with the concept of perceptions that we have about certain things. at the end of the day, if you do not understand sometimes how important it is what, so to speak, your guts are telling you, what your one of your particular feelings starts, so to speak, really warning you about when an actual event happens, in this case, topic itself, if you ignore the reason, the guts, the senses, and the feelings, you might have not a problem, but rather something that needs more attention than what you previously thought of. Because in this case, we're really talking about the idea of a lot of times, as I said before, reality is perceived by things that are more than anything else on the unconscious mind. And one of the easiest ways to see and to comprehend that is to analyze how much of the time you are really actively thinking about what is being told to you. So in this case, we are not only thinking about different ways in which you can interpret reality itself, but rather ways which your own already existing unconscious, so to speak, reality manifests what is in some cases a priority, in some cases a danger, in some cases something very grateful for you to try and go for. Why? Because the reasoning, the most logical way in which you can feel things is the main one which you have complete control over, and that is, so to speak, in this case, something that we do not really have to explain. You understand how your reasoning works, so to speak. You really do not need already to be told how reasoning works, I think. So yes, aside from the reasoning, we go to the second thing, that is the guts. The guts, so to speak, is one of the main sensations that we have when we end up facing things that are more than anything else. They appear when we face things that end up having that sketchy feeling behind them. Not every single one, and even less not those who really have an intention for going or for analyzing things, have a developed gut, because in this case we can really say the gut is the biggest alarm your unconscious mind has developed through, so to speak, sheer etching of it and sheer practicing and sheer lecturing and analyzing and comprehension of things that might not be really useful for you. If you do not have a developed guts, a developed, so to speak, gut sense, in this case, you lose one of your main ways to notice, or one of your main unconscious ways to really act, so to speak, passively be aware about things that might come to do more than anything else a harm. Your guts will not tend to activate if you're going through things that are happy, and unless, as I said before, it is out of nowhere a bad event which you are facing. But well, aside from that, we also have to go to the next, that is the senses, so to speak. And when it is kind of weird, because when we talk about perceiving reality, the senses themselves not so many times play a big role on this, because unless you are really interacting with objects or with things you can really touch or, so to speak, perceive, aside with your hearing and with your thinking senses, so to speak, you really do not have that much of a play with the rest of your senses. Well, in this case, we're only guide ourselves with the 5 old common ones. That was the taste, the smell, the touch, the hearing, and obviously the what do I say? And the visual cue, so to speak. So yes, if aside from those things you do not really have the capacity of interacting with something, you are in this particular manner, we're not talking about if it is helpful or not to not have them at play, but rather why, at the very least, you have to comprehend that they exist. Because if you are negating yourself from interacting with one of those senses, something that you might as well try to interact with, so to speak, you are handicapping your perceptions of things, and you are deciding that it is better to not really go for a deep understanding about the things that are in front of you for the sake of, I will guess, handicapping yourself. I don't really have an explanation as to why anybody will really want to lose that. At the end of the day, if you have it in yourself, the possibility of deepening and the possibility of really having a better grasp about what is coming your way, why would you not want to do that? But well, we still have one more, and that is the feelings. Because, and this is the most unconscious one, the feelings really are something that end up being aroused by things that happen to you. And unless you have a keen sense and a keen comprehension of what your feelings are, you might only feel the things that you feel and not have the capacity of analyzing them. You might not comprehend that sometimes a feeling is aroused not by the actual event, but sometimes, let's say, well, we'll go with the highest kind of example. If you have a trauma, sometimes it is very possible for your feelings to arouse a completely depressing sense, a completely depressing aura, a complete sadness over you. Why? Because you have something that you should also try to pay attention to. Not that in this case you are doing something bad by itself, but only it is a new proof for you to take action in those cases, and it is only a new proof for you to start comprehending what is going on your inner parts of the mind. Because a lot of times the feelings that arouse other things are not created by the things themselves, but rather they end up appearing based on already existing concepts that you have, on basic already made expectations and made on a lot of different things. Having, so to speak, a pure feeling experience or a completely new feeling experience based on something that is happening to you is very, very rare. If, so to speak, we are speaking with someone who is already, in a sense, kind of old, because we are more than anything else interconnections of past events that end up creating who we are for the sake of interpreting what is going to come forward us in the future. So yes, in this case, that is why it is important to understand these four things, because one of the most funny parts of this is all of them is something that you can take advantage of, and all of them could be trained to, let's say like this, an state so incredibly big and so incredibly powerful you would not even believe if you were to start working on it right now how great you can become in those cases. But it's only something that you can achieve as long as you understand the importance of really trying to develop this, in this case, skills, senses, feelings, abilities, whatever it is. Because, as I said before, when you have these tools, the different perceptions that you have about the world end up being something more useful to you and end up being a tool that ends up motivating you to keep going forward. Because it not only relates with your perceptions, it also relates with how, in this case, interconnecting with what we talked before, how you perceive your own responsibilities and how you could even lessen your charges and lessen the whole load that is, so to speak, to be alive, more than anything else. Because yes, that is one of the beautiful things of life, how incredibly great you can make your whole experience, as well as how incredibly low you could get and recuperate from that, as long as you are willing to do it. But yes, I don't think I have anything else to say on this particular topic. So, moving on to the next one. Well, as always, meanwhile, let me type the beautiful. I lost some. No, internet, Wi-Fi cool. Okay, there it is. As I was going to say, we have the possibility, of probably always asking things while I am writing the next topics, but at the same time, uh, my internet also decided to lag out of nowhere, so sorry. There it is. Next, we're on the final topic on this case. Trespassing others and their point of view. I don't think I have a way to interconnect this with the rest. Or, well, yeah, I have. I lied. I just found it. I have. But well, preface. What is interesting about this idea? Why would we have an intention about trespassing others, and why, more than anything else, we should have an interest in attacking points of view? As always, I think I will never get tired of saying this. We're not going here for the destruction of other human lives. We're only here trying to help others. So if you came here expecting, oh wow, now I will have the beautiful tool of how to destroy morally someone and to get them on the lowest floor of depression. Yeah, I am going to become the main villain in someone's life. Oh yeah. No, no. We're going for the point of view of how to do this because it is helpful. So yes, topic itself. Why you should try trespassing others and their points of view. In this case, as I said before, the main objective here is helping others. So first and foremost, you need to develop the ability of understanding that whatever is being said by whoever you're speaking with has the possibility of being broken down. And beware of what I said before, because the things themselves and the words being something you can pick out and, so to speak, take complete apart does not equal to the persons themselves being something you can interpret in a, so to speak, individualistic manner. Every single one of us is a convoluted and completely intertwined connection of things that we might as well spend our whole lives trying to interpret in a way that makes any sense, if at all. So yes, this is only about ideas that people has. This is only about things that people say. This is not a tool that you can take and you can, so to speak, exploit against others. This is not a tool, as I said before, that you can use for individuals themselves. This is only, so to speak, for arguments. This is only, so to speak, for speeches. So yes, going back to the topic itself, you need to understand and you need to see. First and foremost, in your mind you need to create the acceptance of the idea that whatever is being told to you could be completely taken apart. And as long as you have it present in your mind, so to speak, it is kind of hard to say it, but what I said before is only a very, very shortened version of the whole concept, because in reality you need to have in yourself the tools to comprehend, and to really do that you really also need to develop in yourself the tendency to analyze what is being told to you, where it does come from, and why in this case it should be interesting to trespass points of view of other people. Because in this case now, with a real example, if somebody who is dear to you tells you, let's say, you know what, today I have probably my worst day, when, and let me be clear with this, when you know what they went through and you have the possibility of telling them that it was not the worst days of their lives, as long as you have this capacity, you also have now to develop the second skill, that is to have not only the comprehension enough of concepts that you can, so to speak, pick apart whatever is being told to you in a meaningful way, but also you can approach the reality that is you literally, so to speak, exceeding the already existing boundaries between you and the other individual in a way of trying to be more helpful than what probably the individual itself expects from you, that you can carefully enough approach, so to speak, in this case, the idea of, you know what, yes, you had a horrible day, and it might not have been the worst one, and it might not have been the one you suffer the most. I think, let's say like this, if you are someone who has lived at the very least from 20, 30 years, if you at the very least have lived for 30 years, you have already let go of a lot of people, and you have already lost a lot of connections. Sometimes these losses are not only something that happens when you, so to speak, lose contact with others, but also when you possibly lose those who were near to you, in the sense of they departed from this world. So even if you know that your days are dark, that you know that your days are something incredibly bad, probably the pain that you're feeling right now is not as equal as those days. So not only that, if you also have in yourself the understanding of why you're going forward, you might as well try to keep going forward. The simple act of having a bad day shouldn't be a reason for you to not keep going. The simple act of having a great day, as people would like to call it, is not a reason enough for you to surrender, even less when you have also a whole stack of realities. That is, as I was saying before, an example. You need to not create an argument that is going directly at, no, you are I do not want to insult in these cases, but it very well fits the incorrect example. You are spewing bullshit. You do not even know what the fuck you're talking about. You need to shut up and you need to focus yourself back into what is really useful. Nobody really needs to get insulted, even less if they are dealing with something that is hard for them to correctly assert and to correctly integrate in their lives. So yes, that is why in this case it is important to, whatever you are trying to approach, whoever you are trying to help, be as swift as possible and be as, so to speak, in a sense almost as sweet also as possible. If you think that being, so to speak, an aggressive viewpoint and having also tools that are more than anything else meant to destroy in your speech is going to give it, so to speak, a better way to work, you're in this case not only trespassing others, but you're also directly attacking them. Because here, as I said before, the main focus is we are going to approach somebody and we are going to pick out the arguments they are using, in this case, to throw themselves down. In this case, I also use one of the best examples there is, that is to say, I had a bad day, when in reality it is also very possible, if you pay attention enough, you will see people has integrated in their manners of speech, in their day-to-day language, things that are also points of view hurting not only those around them but themselves. And that is why in this case we are going with a subject that by itself seems kind of hard, and I won't even try to lie, I myself cannot completely comprehend it even if I am speaking about it, because it is beautiful to see that when you develop the capacity and when you also have the assertiveness enough to really act on those things you see and you know you could fix, so to speak, you slowly become someone who is really helpful to others. Because another example that I had when one of my friends was, I know that I cannot become somebody better, and in those cases it is, for example, important to notice why somebody will take for granted things like that, why somebody will say something so incredibly broad and something so incredibly, so to speak, shallow. Because in reality, as long as you try, for example, taking this into consideration, what we have been talking about, as long as you try, as long as you really put yourself in the action, as long as you decide to actively play a role in whatever you are going for, you will always have the possibility of becoming better. It is only you who needs to make that a reality. Things by themselves will almost never tend to become better. Yes, but you yourself, someone who is active, so to speak, will always work on those things being better than what they are right now. It is only a conscious effort that you need to realize by simply existing. Yes, it is true, you are not going to become better, but at the same time, you always have the possibility of becoming better. That is why, as I said before, you need to have the capacity, that was the example, of comprehending and of taking apart those tiny misconceptions that people integrate into their speeches, that things that tend to be said, and sometimes even in a playful way, because I don't completely understand where it came from, but people really likes to say, you know what, I cannot achieve anything in life. What, my brother? I myself, I do not even try to show with that, you know? How would you think you have no capacities at anything if you haven't even tried, for example? It is completely hurtful to the soul itself, to the most unconscious part of yourself, to even more in a joyous manner to say that you are not capable of doing anything at all, that you are not capable of becoming better. So yes, also in this case, note that you are with this particular topic. It is also very interesting to know that, as always, if what I said was at the very least interesting, you might as well delve more into the topic and gain more from what I am saying. I am also, as I said, in no way capacity enough for covering it as its whole. So yes, you might find, for example, better tools than what I have already gave you, better things to approach problems, and better manners to approach people. Because, for example, something that I myself already integrated, but I also hate to talk about, is a lot of times we have tendencies in our speeches where if somebody tells us things like but or even itself, or words that are literally one word, we already in our brain take it as a complete negation of what came before that. So a lot of times you really need to pay attention to what you're learning. If you have an interest in applying this to your life, if you don't have an interest, I don't really know what you're here. But anyways, thank you for sticking to this for so long, if you really have no plan in applying this. But well, that's it so far. That's it. I mean, what a funny concept. But well, let me make the final timestamp. Okay, there it is, final timestamp, and now we're finally free from this mental place. We have no more to think about anything else. So, do we have the possibility of reading? Let me check. Shall we try to read or not? I don't know, my man. I don't really know if we should try to read. And let me check. This should be somebody who is on the other. But well, as always, meanwhile, even if there is no one to really read, it is always grateful to do this. It is always beautiful to have the possibility of being here, of talking about the things that we talk about, and more than anything else, of going over the topics that we do go over. Because at the end of the day, as I said before, it is the act of giving tools to others and the act of being helpful to people what really keeps the potato going. So yes, please enjoy. Now, let me, as I said before, search for somebody. What I keep this basically. Thanks for everything. Thanks for being here. Thanks for looking. Thanks for watching the bottom. Whatever you really decide to do. As always, you kind of know what you're doing with your time. So I hope you can spend it wisely as you live here. Well, no, sorry, what the fuck, egotistical thing that I fell asleep. I didn't mean to say it. I hope you have a great time with whatever you are going to do next. Now, after this ride, we shall end this here, because for today we have nothing more to really add, and we have nothing more to really say, to really comment on. So let me this guy, Mog Mode, somebody who is playing Mario Kart Deluxe. So we are going to rate him, and that's it. From this point of view, we're very done. As always, thanks for everything. We shall find each other whenever the world gets us together, because it was a beautiful occasion and because we had a great time. So yeah, we are done with this. Now, goodbye. Juan Vivo. Fucking Juan Vivo. No! I already committed to it. I am doing it even if it is by myself. Shit. What